Hey Netta, it's Jack here. I'm going to be your peer buddy this session, so I'm pretty excited that we're able to see each other again. I looked at what Sean said last week, and I think that it's coming along really, really well. Just wanted to go through it myself. And the thing that always grabs me with this piece and a lot of your other pieces is mostly to do with the way you have a lot of your body parts constantly together. So like the spine seems to be just one unit, the body, the left arm, everything seems to be almost completely together all the time. And I think one thing you need to really start looking at is trying to break apart your body parts and loosen up, as I say, loosen up the spine. And that just means looking at your graphs and making sure that things are not all moving at exactly the same time. So here, for example, we have the same shape. I think, remember that alien thing you're doing with Dave Burgess? The same sort of thing applies. You want to, let's get the pen up. You want to make sure that this shape here, throughout the whole thing, has a bit of a change. So that when she comes in, she might be a little bit different, so that she comes in and she goes, "Mom." So there's more of an exaggeration in her body. So she comes up to this. She's coming in, exploding into that pose, so that you do have a huge shape difference. So here, your body pose is straight up and down, and it stays pretty much straight up and down. And when she comes to this mom, you've got this nice shape here, and I think you end up nicely here. But you want to go from one kind of S shape to another. So here you've got your S. I'll draw it up here so you can see it, probably because the pen's only in black on this one. You've got this shape here, and when you're coming back, you could start off with this more of this sort of shape. She's coming in all proud, and then it goes into this shape when she's all whingy. For me, that's the huge things that you really need to concentrate on more, is to get more clean lines of action and contrast between those lines of action. Now here, as Sean was saying, I feel that you're not really, this moment here with the mother as well, when she's pushing the arm, I find that the arm on that movement across, this is something that Sean didn't address, but I feel that if you were doing that kind of movement, if I was across here pushing a draw shut and then coming down, I would drop the arm very, very quickly. It would come straight down very quickly. It's a heavy thing to carry. And okay, sorry about that. Had a bit of a pause. It's now like 6 hours later. Anyway, let's just continue with this. Okay, now with these ones here as well, a lot of the things I'm noticing is that whenever you make a movement, a lot of things kind of stop. Like in her body, I think I said this already, a lot of things are staying very together. And where you got that pose there, that's overshooting on the arm a little bit, but one of the big things that I got out of this course was understanding that it's a whole body, the whole body experience. So whenever you have a movement, even if it's just the head and the arm moving, you're going to have a result going all the way down. And what I've started to really be acutely aware of is that every single time anything moves, you've got your major movement, which is your head, or in this case, the hand. But if that happens, then have a look at, you just try and do the action that you've done there. And as the hand goes down, think, well, as the hand goes down, what happens to my left knee? What happens to my ankle? Just think through the whole thing and see if there's some kind of flow of energy through every single movement. So if you get that kind of movement, what's happening to the whole body. Are the knees just moving to there, or do they splay out a little bit? Do you find that that affects the shoe, even in the smallest possible way? And try and capture that essence there. So okay, and like I said, with this one, with any of these movements as well, so I know you're trying to reach in the top of that box there. If I was trying to reach, if I was sitting in my chair, you know, and I turned around and I want to reach into it, I'd probably turn my, let me see, going across. Yeah, half of the problem is that sometimes the rigs can do a lot more than we can. And in a way, if that woman's going to be turning into this drawer, she may actually have to physically turn her whole torso around to reach inside. So she's physically turned her whole torso around to reach inside here. And then she comes back and she's turning her whole torso around. So most of the rotation is in from the hips upwards. So you wouldn't actually see her moving. She'd be coming around there. So here because the rig can turn right like that, you're twisting through the spine, and then we're getting that awkward movement. Whereas if we're over the top, she actually bends down into the drawer, so this whole shoulder, which is what captures my attention here, is way too high. So, and again, you see, when you make a movement, this is the big thing I'm trying to say, and if nothing else you can get out of this, is that every time you make a movement, it affects everything. So if I'm reaching into here, I start off here and I reach in, and it affects the whole body. So if we're going to start off with, I'll draw the shape here, that's the body there, that's the beginning of the pose, and as she reaches down, you'd have one pose further down, and as she reaches back, it's going to affect the whole body. She's going to use her spine and everything to reach that arm across. And even if it's subtle, it's going to affect this whole line here. Will move a little bit just to reach down. And in general, as well as here, you've got this arm here moving, but you also have this arm doing something. It has to do something. And you can look throughout all of your work, everywhere you go, and ask yourself the same question. As I've done a movement, how does that movement affect the overall pose? If I've got that movement here, what is it doing to the rest of my pose throughout everything that you're doing? So I think that's one thing. If you have a good look at that throughout your work, it's going to lift everything a lot. And here, in this movement here, everything is kind of rotating across at the same time. And I think one thing that I was noticing with my stuff was that if you ever look at something that looks a bit odd, even though you've done your video reference, just do another one, and not so much to see what happens, but to feel what happens inside your own body. So here, she's turning around here, and if I want to turn around and get relaxed, besides my arm going around, what else do I feel is going on? And I'm doing this now, and I'm noticing that I'm actually leaning into the table a bit as I move around, as almost the first thing I'm doing, not maybe even afterwards. Okay, so let's just have a look at that. And again, instinctively, I feel that there's something with this hand, the way she slaps her head, and the reaction, because this is an opportunity to show you thinking. So here she's going, oh really? You'd have that transition where she actually hears and reacts, and there'll be a facial change, even though she's a very blasé mother. She's listening, and then she goes, something's happened. Now, one of the things that I think is really cool to remember is in the way that the flow on, not just an overlap of motion, but overlap of reaction. So the first thing is that she said something. So the first thing she does is she hears it. So you can't really show that in the animation, but it would change something about the way her body maybe it might be a little slight change in her neck. And then you've got the second thing which occurs, which is that she perceives it in her eyes. So there'll be some change in the way that her eyes look. Her eyes might widen when she's reacting. Okay, and then third will be the face. So you have some sort of facial change. And then lastly will be the body. So you're getting a four-stage overlap. You're getting the ears, the eyes, the head, the body. And that overlap gives you that full flow of thought. So in here, in this particular section, you should just, oh, and it will start, the eyes will widen, then the mouth will go, and then, oh. Okay, so you've got three things that you need to stagger out. You've got the eye, the mouth, and then the hand catches up later. So I always liken this to the idea of a dinosaur. They say that if you were to stand on the dinosaur's tail, it takes all this time for the message to get up to the head. And in the same way, when we're doing stuff, we hear something and it takes some time for that reaction to become visible. So one thing I'd really like to see happening here, it's just like, which in one way it does say something. It says that she doesn't care, or she already knew. So if that's what you want to portray, you want to portray that she already has an idea what's going on. That's fine, that's what you're portraying. But if there's actually a genuine reaction to what's going on, then I don't think that's been quite captured there. So you're supposed to help me with my book report, and she could have this, oh, you see what I'm doing with my face? And she says, hey, how you going? You're supposed to help me with my book report. Oh, and there's that 1, 2, 3. It all happens and it's staggered. Or if what you're trying to say is like, I really don't, what she's really saying is, oh, I completely don't care. Sorry, it's, I've got better things to do. She might be painting her nails today. The non engaged parent. Now here, the thing that grabs me in this next section what would be a nice thing later on, when I'm sure Sean will go on about this, is with the polish, is the fidgety little things that she does with her hands. She puts her hand in because I'm so sorry. She might do something like stroking her own hand or doing something with her own finger across the table, because this is such a visible thing. And what Sean said before was good, that you've reduced the size of the hand. That's great. But I think what could also happen is that she has a hand there, and it's either you've got this feeling that she's not engaged and she really couldn't care less about her kid, or she's really dumb, but she's doing something with her hand, some sort of fidgety thing, even if it just means that she's like stroking her own hand or stroking the table. Maybe she's just doing something with her finger on the table as an extra little bit of overlap. I think that's one of the lectures you'll do soon anyway. And here, one of the overtones you could have in here is, I'm so sorry. Maybe she's not sorry. Maybe she just really doesn't care less, and that might be the undercurrent, the subtext of this. This is the mother who is really bad mum and doesn't care at all, and that's a good undertone that you can get out of this. Okay, so again, that's, for me, it's more of an acting thing here. And so the sort of reaction time as well, that's something that would be interesting to look into. So it's due Monday. That's another one of those overlapping things. Due Monday. Now, if she's truly alarmed about that, she might have a sort of, it's due Monday. And you're getting, first thing is that she'll hear it's due Monday, so her eyes might widen. Or alternatively, this sort of thing. So it's due Monday, and she's trying to do something, so her eyes will react, and then she tries to clamp down on that immediately afterwards. So eyes widen, and then she shows that she's in control again, back in control. Sorry, my pen's not really doing a good job. Okay. All right, so the main thing that I want you to look at is go through and look at the lesser parts of your body, the things which are not as dynamic, and just track them. Have a look at them all the way through, and to see how much stuff is really, really dead when things are staying. So here Sean was saying you've got this body and then the head and everything, it's in one position, and that's staying in there. It's all kind of A to B, and you're doing your overlap there, that's fine, but you need to ask yourself, what's happening to this shoulder and this shoulder as I'm doing this motion? It's not really going anywhere, it's not doing anything. So here you've got like that, those old water birds that bob into the water. She's all the action's happening in her head and not much else is happening. And again, every single time you get to this and you say, well, what should I do? What the hell is he talking about? Get your camera out just for yourself and say, oh, it's on my thing. And then don't concentrate on the hand movement. Look at what's happening with the shoulders. Look what's happening with the back, and try to capture that in your animation. I think that's really going to help things a lot. All right, so good stuff. I'm going to hang around and give you some feedback from now on. I'm your peer buddy, so I'll talk to you soon. Take care.